Live all the way from Brussels, the Congolese American Community International Broadcasting. We are here with Mr. Sindika Dokolo. Mr. Sindika Dokolo, the American community and then the American press want to know exactly what drives you at such a time as this to be in Brussels on the Belgian soil to orchestrate a march where you're calling up to the Congolese conscience, to the Congolese people all around the world to come together. What is your motivation?
Well, first of all, today is the 58th birthday anniversary of our independence in the Congo, and I just had the privilege to be part of a very important symbolic ceremony, which is the naming of a square called the Lumumba as our national hero, Patrice Lumumba. And it was, from this symbolic perspective, very important that as a member of a civil society group in the Congo, I could be part of this ceremony. But at the same time, like you said, we're now going to have demonstration that's going to take us from Place Lumumba all the way up to the Parliament of the European Union. Our objective is very simple. You know that the Congolese government and Mr. Kabila are refusing to step down. They should have ended their mandate 2 years ago. It didn't happen just because they refused to do so. They're weakening our state, and they're really enslaving our population. We're supposed to have elections by the end of the year, but young people, activists still get imprisoned. The political opponents still are prevented from campaigning or from even running in some cases. So it's very simple. We've noticed that the most effective measures that have been taken so far by the international community has been by the American administration, which are the sanctions, and mainly the financial sanctions against Kabila and his political associates. We are expecting and we are demanding that Europe also plays its role and its part and takes their responsibility and makes a clear choice between the Congolese that are in favor of democracy and the rule of law, and on the other side, people who are just pure extremist Kabilists at all costs. So basically, we are going to walk in the streets of Brussels to convey this message to the European Union that we demand that certain sanctions be clearly produced against Mr. Kabila and his regime.
Let me ask you this. So the Congolese community around the world is divided and confused. How would you have Nanga with the Sini, Mr. Kabila, as well as all the expired institutions in Congo 2 years ago to organize the elections? Don't you see that transition government would have been better so they can clean up the mess and set up a new calendar for the elections? But coming back to the question, how can Mr. Nanga run elections and allow somebody else to come to replace Mr. Kabila? Is there a need for Kabila himself to still be, as opposed to Kabila to first of all declare that he resigned, he will not be there as the elections are coming? What is your point of view? Because Nanga can still slide in somebody else from the PPRD, as we know. So do you think that these elections are credible, these elections are fair, these elections are democratic? People do not even know who's going to run. There's no debate. What kind of elections are these, and what should we expect out of it? What is your perspective?
I think you just touched really the core of the question, because the real problem we have is not just to have elections by the end of this year, is to have free and fair election. And this is the whole point, is actually to respect the sacred right, the right of the Congolese people to actually choose their leaders. So this is a real problem right now, the question of credibility of the whole process. And Mr. Nanga, who should be independent, he is the head of the National Election Organization Committee. And he just gave a speech last week saying that he should not be audited because that's not part of his job. And he even said that his job is not to create comfort and confidence in the process. So I think he completely misunderstood what was the whole point of his job. And therefore it is very difficult to expect from these people and this regime to actually come clean and once and for all accept that it is a right that is consecrated in our constitution and that they will have to abide by it. So I think indeed the real problem is if you say transition without Kabila and that clearly this regime will not take us to free and fair election, it is a real concern, because transition without Kabila is not something that you can declare. It's something that you need to actually create. It's an awareness that actually the public opinion has to come to the conclusion that there is no way we cannot get what we are owed by our constitution with these people in charge. So basically, this is why civil society at this stage is so important. The work that we do is explaining, is mobilizing, is documenting, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that the international community will do for Congo that the Congolese themselves will not be able or have to do before. So this is the whole point of us getting involved. You have civil society now, you have a lot of young people who are really determined to make the necessary sacrifices and commitment to actually make sure that our country becomes a real country that respects rule of law, democracy, and the rights of citizens.
Wouldn't it be ideal for Mr. Kabila to declare publicly, I step down and I will not run to these elections before even we can go to elections?
He should have done it way before. If you look at the president in Haiti, he realized, Mr. Martelly, he realized he wouldn't be able to deliver the elections on time, and he said very clearly, I'm going to step down, and whatever happens, I consider it my responsibility that I've failed, and of course I will not run for the next elections. You have to consider that in the Congo right now, there's hundreds of thousands of people who are in danger of dying of hunger. Just children alone, we have 400,000 babies who are in risk right now, in danger. This is due to one factor: the fact that we have leaders that don't respect their commitment, their legal commitment, and their oath to the nation, and who don't want to step down and give up power. So really now it is very important that, first of all, us Congolese citizens, we understand what is going on and the challenge in the coming weeks. We have a window of opportunity actually of putting the country back on track. We have to seize it, and at the same time we have to convince all our friends and partners around the world to help us. When a country is taken hostage by its leaders, it really needs the help, the commitment, the understanding, the efforts of everybody. This is true for, first of all, for all Congolese citizens, secondly, for all Congolese or people of Congolese descent in the diaspora, and thirdly, all the partners who have an interest in promoting democracy, peace and stability in that central strategic region of Africa.
Now, Mr. Dokolo, we have considered you to be the new face of Africa, a young man from the Congo whose father was Mr. Dokolo with Bank of Kinshasa, if I'm not mistaken. So you have a very good understanding from the African mentality and civilization and situation, as well as the Western Hemisphere's political way of running things. Now, are you considered to be a politician? Are you a philanthropical individual? Are you trying to raise awareness? What are you exactly trying to achieve at the present time based on what you do?
I'm trying to inspire my fellow countrymen by example. I'm not a politician. I have no ambition. I'm just a citizen who realized I could no longer stay and look the other way while my country is really falling apart. So I think what we're trying to preach here is that the solution for the Congo is by getting more citizens involved, more citizens feeling like responsible, expressing themselves, and really changing first themselves and their approach of the issue in order to change the situation of the country. So really I think this is the big hope for us, is actually more citizenship, a different culture, more responsibility, more social responsibility by all the players in the Congo, by all the citizens of Congo.
Ladies and gentlemen, Congolese Americans, you heard the man himself, very articulate into the international language of English, very well understood everywhere around the world. Since y'all have asked me to also run a quick interview in the French to test this man and in Lingala to make sure he's a real Congolese, I'm going to shift part 2.